When I was a kid,
Well, technically, when I was younger, but that doesn't matter.
I had both Jurassic World and Fallen Kingdom on DVD. Like, I don't know when exactly this was, probably like 2019. But when I had them, I would watch them for hours. I would replay scenes from each of those movies over and over and over again. The scene where all the Jurassic World workers get attacked by the Indominus Rex. Yep, that was what we watched like 5 times. The part where the Tyrannosaurus lay waste to the main street. Yep, a lot of times as well. When Zara gets eaten. Yeah, just like every action scene, basically. I loved these movies. And then over the next couple of years after that, when more and more information was being built up for this next movie, Jurassic World 3, what the fuck's gonna happen? I don't know. I was excited. Okay? When it was revealed it was gonna be called Jurassic World Domination, I was excited, but then it was actually Dominion. I didn't know what that word was. I thought it was called Domination. I learned a new word that day. And then, when the first trailer came out, I was hyped. I waited 4 years, and then finally in 2022, it released, and I thought it was absolute peak cinema. Like, no exaggeration. Okay, I was younger back then, but I'll talk about that later. So, all in all, I have pretty good memories of these movies. I don't think I'm that nostalgic. I don't think I'm that nostalgia blinded. I actually think they're unironically pretty good. So let me just go check what everyone else thinks of these movies. Oh no. Am I objectively incorrect? Am I a dumbass for enjoying these movies? Are these movies just soulless cash grabs like everyone says? No. Let's get things straight. None of these 3 movies come anywhere close to the original. I'm not gonna like pretend that they're like absolute cinema, like high art, because they aren't. The first movie is better. It's the original Jurassic Park. It cannot be topped. Lost World is better too. I really like Lost World. Jurassic Park 3. So anyway, just because the Jurassic World movies aren't as good as the first movie doesn't mean they're bad. Okay? When people complain that none of these movies are as good as the original, it's like, what do you expect, okay? Maybe the first movie set the bar too high, okay? So anyway, I'm also going to talk about these movies in order. Order from worst to best. Least good, most good. So unfortunately, we're going to have to start with... So about some of that stuff I said earlier about how this movie... I thought this movie was peak cinema. I don't agree anymore. But that doesn't mean it's bad. Okay? All movie criticism is fucking black and white now. It's either the best thing ever or the worst thing. Unfortunately, this movie goes into that opposite section because there's no in between, and it pisses me off. But maybe that's a discussion for another day. Okay, I'll talk about that maybe some other time. So, for starters, this movie is like 2 hours and 40 minutes. So it's like a Peter Jackson movie. Okay, like a Peter Jackson theatrical cut, basically, but it's still good. It's still up there. In my opinion, this movie actually uses this one time well. It moves pretty quickly from scene to scene, and it's all pretty interesting. Well, I would say the stuff of Owen and Claire is more interesting than the stuff of the old cast, because the old cast don't really do that much, to be honest. But it's not boring. I said it moves quickly. It's a relatively fast-paced movie, and the story is actually one of my favorite parts. It's like pretty complex. There's a lot of characters which all get a good amount of screen time, which is a pretty good accomplishment considering how many fucking characters there are. Like, not only do we have all the new characters, and then all the old characters from the old movies as well, but we have some new guys. Like, we've got Kyler, we've got Ramsey, and we've got the villain Dodson. Who, by the way, this is like perfect casting. I don't know who this man is, but he fits the greedy CEO very well. Man looks like he's about to approve of the next Roblox age verification update. So, like, good casting, right? This movie has like 4 distinct sections. So first, we're trying to protect Maisie, and that all fails miserably. And then we're trying to find out and learn who took her. Eventually, they learn she's been taken to Biosyn. So we go over, sneak to Biosyn, and then we finally find her, and then the 2 groups join up, and then everyone has to escape. So they use that like extra 30 minutes that this movie has over all the other movies to actually like tell a bigger story. Like, it's not just like 30 minutes of extra dinosaur scenes. Even I know the dinosaur scenes are very cool. I'm not dissing the dinosaur scenes. I'll talk about that later. I think maybe this movie can actually warrant some more dinosaurs. As I said, I'll talk about that later. So anyway, so actually, all that stuff about the dinosaur stuff I said earlier is actually now, because I'm already at that part in my script. So, the dinosaur scenes themselves, which is like the main part of the Jurassic movies, that's why we watch the Jurassic movies, is we watch the dinosaur movies for the dinosaur movies. Very in quality, sort of, but I'll talk about the best one first, which is the entire motor sequence. So the people that say that this movie didn't deliver on dinosaurs and our world premise set up in Fallen Kingdom, you see that? Isn't that what you wanted? This scene, and some other things before this, made me not really care that this movie didn't deliver fully on that premise, and it wasn't fully about that, because the stuff we got is actually really good. Even though, as I said, it's not the full thing, you still get that little small section of it. It's good. But I don't know. This whole motor scene is long, but it doesn't overstay its welcome. It's like comprised of a bunch of smaller sections which all combine into this big, thrilling action scene. So that's shown us as the dinosaurs and our world premise. Before the action starts, we get a full look at this underground wing exploiting dinosaurs. We see people betting on dino fights, buying their own dinos and have a higher chance of winning big. It's very interesting and atmospheric. It's also setting up a little bit of world building too, because we see animals that we've never seen before, like this Lysosaurus and the Oviraptor, as well as some new types of animals, such as this weird hairy Dimorphodon and some locusts. I'm going to talk about the locusts later, trust me. This is what would happen if dinosaurs existed in real life and just randomly appeared everywhere because of this idiot. Even though dinosaurs are big and scary, humans have a massive advantage because we're smarter and we have guns. So, like, I feel like everyone, before this movie came out, was expecting, like, an apocalypse movie where, like, the humans have to, like, fucking kill the dinosaurs. It's like a war. But that would never be what would happen. What is in this movie is a more realistic depiction of what that would be. It was never going to be a dinosaur apocalypse that everyone set up to be. It's about seeing the world change, not fall, in Kingdom. So anyway, after this, the action begins. We've got our boy, Owen, trying to get info from Wayne Delacour. Owen chases him around while this guy is accidentally letting dinosaurs loose with his fucking gun. He's shooting enclosures open and people are getting eaten. Some guy is on fire and then he gets consumed, and the guy that's trying to help him also gets consumed. And then Owen and Wayne Delacour, they fall into this fighting ring and they start throwing hands. And then Wayne falls backwards and he gets his arms chomped by the Lysosaurus and this Carnotaurus, and then a Baryonyx pulls up and then it bites his head off. In this part, like, specifically, it seems like the movie is actually kind of being self-aware because it's so stupid. But it's not bad, it's just fun. It's really kind of goofy. But as I said, it's kind of interesting because, you know, all the underground aspects of it. And Wayne's death scene is really cool. It's kind of censored a little bit, to be honest, because there's not like any blood, but it's fine. Also, when Owen and Wayne Delacour are finding the dinosaur ring, there's literally people around them that are cheering them on. Like I told you, this movie is kind of self-aware sometimes, it's weird. So anyway, after that, we get another section after, which is kind of flawed, to be honest. We have Claire being chased by one of the Atrociraptors and they're jumping across the buildings, but this doesn't make sense once you realise the Atrociraptors are like fucking 30 miles an hour. So Claire should just get eaten in like 2 seconds, but somehow she's able to run away and survive this. And then later, when they're in the car, the Atrociraptor is suddenly way faster. Okay, there's no explanation, it's just nonsensical. At least there's some close shots, like the Atrociraptor jumping the gap. And this part where it's ragdolling down the stairs and this Shining reference, question mark. The scene does pick up again after this. We get some character development for Barry, with Minecraft pose and Barry, so that's pretty good for him. And then we get the best scene in the movie. Owen gets on his motorbike and is being pursued through the streets of Malta by the Atrociraptors. This scene is amazingly put together. The first half is completely devoid of music. We're left with only motorbikes and the loud engine of the motorbike and the snapping of the Atrociraptors as they try to catch up with Owen. And they're very devoted to doing that. We see them crash into furniture, cars, walls, each other. It feels intense and grounded in reality. This shot right here, after they pass Carno and Allosaurus, is great. Chairs and tables are being thrown in every direction, even like right in front of the camera. The type of stuff makes everything feel more believable. We see the dinosaurs present in the world affect the surroundings. Like when this Atrociraptor is in this area, it's like physically moving stuff and interacting with the world. It makes it feel actually present in the scene and not just like a dinosaur put onto the screen with CGI. As this is going on, we've got Claire in the back of Kylie Shock, who are also being chased by one of the Atrociraptor. This guy gets taken out in a really cool and creative way with a metal pipe. So this dude, Pythagoras, gets humiliated. Well, I think that's his name. Yeah, all of them have names. This is either that one or Tiger, because the only ones who designs look different enough for me to tell who they are is Red and Ghost. I wish the squad and the Go Raptor squad from like 2 movies ago had unique designs like their toy versions. Anyway, that doesn't matter right now, because Owen is about to jump into a moving airplane while being chased by the 2 remaining Atrociraptors. This is like top 10 masculine urges, right? Like, bro, it would be so cool to ride a motorbike into a moving plane while being chased by raptors, you know? That's up there. It's up there with dying in the snow, being the last soldier in like a battle and sacrificing yourself and stroking it. Anyway, the tension builds up and the music swells as the back of the plane slowly opens. Before it climaxes, this dumbass tiger clips his snout on one of the bike's rails and just somehow completely knocks himself out. It feels like a really forced way of removing him from the scene. To be honest, it would have been a lot cooler if he got eaten by like one of the big dudes in this scene, but it doesn't matter that much. So Tiger is eliminated, and a moment later, Owen jumps into the plane and leaps off his bike. Ghost is able to grab onto the plane too, and Chris Pratt, he almost slides down the plane as it's going up. He almost slides into the jaws of Ghost, but Claire saves him, and then his bike slides down too, and it knocks the Ghost out of the plane, and he goes flying out the back and falls into the ocean. Fucking 10 out of 10 scene. It's really creative, it's cinematic, and the editing is on point. Like, there's like 10 cuts at the very end when they're inside the plane, and it's all plotted perfectly. In these last couple seconds, you can tell exactly what's going on, which is really commendable. When I try to like reshoot and change the cuts in my head, it never flows well or makes sense. They edited the perfect version of the scene, and it's epic. It's amazingly good way to end the sequence of the movie. It's good, right? Malta peak. The other dinosaur scenes in the movie are underwhelming. The cratless attack that takes place only like soon after the scene, once they reach Biosyn, is probably the most disappointing, at least to me. Even when I watched this movie back when it released, this scene underwhelmed me. The setup is great and it has tons of potential. Our characters are in a plane, being harassed by this giant plane-sized pterosaur, completely different from all the other flying reptile encounters in the series before. Then in the actual scene, we see it land on the plane, break it a little, and then fly away 4 seconds later, never to be seen again. Then a bunch of standard Pteranodons swoop in and replace it, creatures we've already seen before and in better scenes. This is one of the major flaws with this movie. Half the dinosaurs get almost no screen time at all. The Kretts just gets 4 seconds of screen time. The Pyroraptor, one of the best creature designs in the movie, shows up once in a 2-minute action scene. The scene isn't bad or underwhelming like the Kretts scene, it's pretty good, but it can literally be condensed into the characters see the Pyroraptor, run away, Owen falls in the water for 2 seconds and climbs out, and they run again into an elevator, then the Pyro was never seen again. The Dimetrodons later in the movie have it even worse. They show up once in a scene that is pretty forgettable. The only part of it I remember is when Alan loses his hat, and when Ian is at the gate and he's trying to guess the code, and he's like, there's a billion possibilities. One of the few scenes after Malta that doesn't have this issue is the Therizinosaurus encounter, which is pretty tense and atmospheric, stealth scene. A lot of people actually seem to regard this as one of, or even the best scene in the movie, but I do agree. For one, they should have put this concept art into the actual scene because it looks awesome, and would have made the fellow creepier and more mysterious, and also because the scene, again, is too short. Like, 3.5 minutes. Are you serious? My second favourite dinosaur sequence in this movie is actually the final battle. I know, very controversial. The ending, everyone deemed so underwhelming that there was at least 10 fan-made remakes of the scene made out disappointing. It obviously doesn't compare to the endings of the previous 2 movies before it. But after Rebirth, which didn't even have a fucking ending, I appreciate this one a lot more. Visually, it looks fantastic. The whole thing takes place in the Biosyn Dome, which looks pretty similar to the Apple Dome. Wonder if that's a coincidence. While the mountains in the distance are being engulfed in flames, it's metal as hell. The fight also utilizes the environment pretty well. We see Rexy and the Giga throwing each other into real art pieces around the courtyard. At one point, Rexy falls into one of the stairwells. Its main issues though are that it's still too short, especially since the other endings were double the length. The flashback Rexy has to the prologue is extremely easy to miss. Did you even see it? If you pause the movie in the extended version before she wakes up, you can actually see the background and Rexy's design changed to the Cretaceous era versions for a single second. It would have read way better still if it was longer, and if the prologue fight just flashed on the screen for a couple seconds as this new fight was going on. It would have been kind of cool, Would have been an actual rivalry between these two characters. And then the fairy appears so the Giga can get impaled in its claws. But I do like this part because, when Rexy gets up, as the music is going in and Rexy stands up like a superhero, the music goes dun 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 dun, and then Rexy pushes the Giga and the Giga gets impaled in the claws. It's not the best impalement death in the series, but it's up there. And you know what? I at least the herbivore got to utilize the abilities in a fight scene, because this franchise loves carnivores. But one thing that's kind of weird is when Rexy was, the Ferret also was. Bro, Rexy's been in this series since the very first movie, and you just showed up for the first time in this movie. Why are you acting like you're on the same level? Okay, what the fuck is that? The biggest issue is the Giga himself, which is meant to be the main antagonist of the movie, and was said by the director, Colin Trevorrow. You're going to hear his name a lot throughout this video. That this dinosaur is the Joker of the Jurassic World series. Then in the actual movie, he proceeds to have little importance to the plot and do nothing evil except eat this locust and knock out Rexy. The only other scene he appears in is one before this when all the characters meet up, and it's probably one of the worst action scenes in the series. The cinematography is bad. It doesn't hide the Giga at all, and it's just kind of awkwardly standing down some shots. There's a lot of racist potential too, but once again, the scene being too short, and this part when Maisie is like inches away from being chomped on, and it's only being saved by this metal grating around her, and she's clearly terrified, and everyone who's underneath her needs her to move so they can get to safety, and Kyla is above her, like trying to tell her to move up, but then the Giga just gets the thing stuck in its mouth and it runs away, and then all the characters somehow climb up the ladder in 4 seconds. I'm not joking. Look at the scene. I hit my finger on the table. Look at the scene. How did the characters all get up that ladder in 4 seconds? This part could have been a lot better, like, swap out Kyla for, like, Claire or Owen, and have Maisie take their hand and climb up the ladder before the Giga bites down and misses her. It'd be like a small bit of character development to move. We've seen how much Maisie now looks up to her parents, quite literally, after everything that's happened, you know, and how there's, like, the contrast between how she treated them at the start until to now, but the movie was like, no. After this, Ian proceeds to turn the Giga into Godzilla and then do this. Stop! What the fuck was that? Am I kind of dumb for thinking that this is kind of funny? Or is this treated like a big scene for Alan and Ian? Like, oh no, Ian was about to fall down 2 steps of the ladder. He almost died, whoa. And the yell Jeff does, he was so funny, and it just cuts out. Like, why? I'm gonna put this clip at the end of the video, and it will be funny, I swear. Okay, I'm actually gonna do that. At least the fiery mountains are still cool. I will admit that. The one thing the Locust inclusion in this movie did was this. That was one of the things they did. That was kind of cool. Oh shit! Wait, I need to talk about the Locust now. Oh, you see, all that stuff I just said about the dinosaur scenes being kind of underwhelming to me, well, at least most of them, and that's my main issue with the movie. Well, for everyone else, it's these tiny guys. This dinosaur movie isn't about dinosaurs, it's about grasshoppers! Jurassic World, more like Jurassic grasshoppers. The dinosaurs are completely pointless to the story. It's all about the locusts. The locusts suck dick. Does it really matter that much? Is the plot basically about stopping them? Yeah, but are they the main threat throughout the movie? Well, kind of, but not really. I will admit, adding these guys was kind of strange, but it does lead to this fun story about saving Maisie that leads into things like the motor scene. And then I'm fine with it. The locusts only have a few minutes of screen time anyway, and the 2 action scenes of are actually pretty cool. Especially the one involving these kids. It's far too short, like every other action scene in this movie. But it has some cool imagery, like you gotta admit this is neat, right? They also caused the giant fire at the end of the movie, which is a really cool and creative way of making it happen. I don't care about them. They're creepy and kind of interesting at some points, and they move the plot along. Another major critique is that the dinosaurs are pointless to the story, and honestly, they're probably right. If you removed most of the dinosaurs in this movie, the plot wouldn't change almost at all. Think about it. There were dinosaurs in the motor scene, and then there weren't. What would change in the story? Unfortunately, nothing. Except that Rain would still be alive. That's it. But I still don't really care. I don't really care about that. Because of that logic, every other scene in the series where a dinosaur appears and doesn't kill anyone is pointless. This fact doesn't really cheapen any dinosaur scenes in this movie for me. They're still fun, especially the motor scene. The final major critique this movie gets is that it didn't live up to what Fallen Kingdom's ending set up to be. Dinosaurs in our world isn't the main focus. The movie is really about other stuff, and the plot is just, that whole dinosaurs in the world thing is basically just the base it's all built on. I can understand this one. Even though the plot we got isn't about that, I still enjoy it. Like, this whole thing. Like, I feel like this movie is less about dinosaurs in the world, and more like the conclusions for all the characters. Like, we get the conclusion for Alan, he finally gets with Ellie. Like, Henry Wu finally becomes a good guy. And Owen has that last scene with Blue, and it's very nice. And Maisie finally feels kind of accepted because she's like a clone. She felt kind of strange all her life. So that's kind of the actual point of the movie, I think. It's not what was promised, but I still like it. But some parts of it are still flawed. Maisie escapes the lab extremely easily. I don't think there were like any gods. If you had a girl who could be used to save the entire world, then you should probably make sure she's like secure. Especially when she clearly doesn't want to be there. The antagonists that appear at the beginning of the movie just disappear from the plot really early on. Rain Delacourt gets killed and Santos gets arrested. It seems like Rain was going to do a lot more. And honestly, I kind of liked him. He was kind of goofy, you know. And he had a lot of scenes up until that point, but then he just got killed. I would have like preferred if like maybe he escaped from Moltar and then went to Bios and hunt down the main characters in the sanctuary with some other goons, and then have him get eaten by the Giga at the end. At least the death scene he got was cool, I guess. Overall though, I still really like Dominion. If I ranked all the movies, I would say I definitely prefer it over JP3, and I also prefer it over Rebirth. It's definitely overhated and nowhere near as bad as people make it out to be. But it still has quite a few flaws that make me believe it's the weakest of the Jurassic World trilogy. I don't like rating movies, to be honest. That's kind of a strange way of criticising things, but 6 out of 10. Pretty good. So now, it's time to jump from the last movie of the trilogy all the way back to the first. The second best of the three.
The mother hen has finally arrived.
This movie is undoubtedly the most important of the three. It was the first of this new trilogy, which would then lead to even more movies afterwards, and it was a soft reboot of a series that fucking died 14 years earlier. And in those 14 years, there were many scrapped scripts and concepts which were all very weird. We've got one which involves a soldier going back to the original island from the first movie to retrieve the stupid can that Dennis dropped for fending off bad guys and dinosaurs. We want this to be a soft reboot, not a direct sequel. We're bringing back the stupid fucking can later. This one, we've got a cool dude with a pack of raptors which he commands, and they go on military missions with other dinosaurs to fight terrorists. That sounds pretty ridiculous. Well, probably not decide well given recent events, but we'll keep the part where there's a cool guy with a raptor pack. That sounds kind of cool. Then these people that just made Rise of the Planet Apes, they come over and they've got an idea which involves a made-up dinosaur destroying an open Jurassic Park. That sounds pretty good, but we can still be better. That made-up dinosaur thing sounds pretty good though, but it could be kind of different. And then this guy shows up, Colin Trevorrow, and he has fucking 3 movies planned, and he might direct all of them. He has all the story plans. So of course we get this guy, and then do all the production stuff, and then the movie comes out a couple years later. And the version of it we got is definitely the best one we could have ever had, because this movie is good. This movie has like a very distinct vibe. It feels like the start of a bigger story, which it is, while also feeling like the continuation of the lore and themes of the original, which it is, while also being a great movie that stands on its own. But never like a movie is made to set up like the beginning of a franchise that usually like falls apart. Either it just flops, and they're just left as like a first movie. It's like a base for building, but then nothing ever happens. It's never built. Well, it just feels set up and it can't be enjoyed fully because it's just set up so that the other movies after it can be better without being fully good on its own. Even like good movies like Rise of the Planet of the Apes, which I mentioned earlier, There's a lot of stuff in that movie that's only there to set up like possible sequels, like the semen flu, which has no connection to the main plot of that movie, and it's just there so the world can turn to the Planet of Apes in the next movie. Right, Jurassic World is different. All the pieces it throws, which can be used in the next installment, are all subtle and they fit organically into the movie itself. Well, I'll talk about that later. The movie introduces so many new things into the Jurassic Park mode that have become easily the most iconic things that have come out of the series, right? Although some of them. It's impossible to think of this movie and not think of like the Mosasaurus feeding scene or Owen on his motorbike with the raptors close behind. Right? Let me go into detail on that motor scene I just mentioned and describe why it's so well remembered. It opens with a view of this giant stadium of probably like hundreds of people all sitting eagerly waiting for something. What is it? We don't know yet. The guide tells the audience the creature is about to be fed, and we see a dead shark get lured closer to the water in front of them. Then we get this third person view from the shark facing down at the lake. Most of the frame is taken by the water, which implies whatever's under there is likely big. The focus switches back to Zach and Greg, and then so Zach is staring at his phone, and us watching the scene want him to put that shit away so we can look at the shark again and not miss what's about to happen. And in a moment he looks up.
It's a mosasaurus!
This one scene instantly turns the Mosasaurus from a pretty obscure marine reptile into a lot of people's favourite species in the Jurassic series. Like, this girl only has like 30 seconds of screen time in all three of these movies combined. But this scene encapsulates the awe and wonder so well, and that left such a big last impact that's never been replicated since. Except for another scene in Fallen Kingdom, but I'll talk about that later. And it conveys the opposite emotion, so it'll be interesting. And we get these two shots which perfectly show the sheer size of the Mosan. We have this one which grounds the scene in reality by showing it from the perspective of the audience, and then having everyone get soaked by the water, which was what rocketed from the surface as it breached. It goes even further after this by having the entire stadium lower down under the surface, giving us this incredible view of the entire creature as people stand up and cheer. It's incredible. This is the closest any of the sequels have gone to replicating the euphoria of that scene from the first movie where everyone sees the dinosaurs for the first time and stares in wonder. Other scenes in later movies try to recreate it. Like this one in Fallen Kingdom and this one in Rebirth come to mind, and they're good. Like, they don't successfully replicate that feeling the original scene evokes, because unlike with that movie, we aren't seeing dinosaurs for the first time. It's like the 5th and 7th movie. We already know dinosaurs are cool. It doesn't hit the same. These movies are at their weakest when they're trying to copy the original, when it can't be copied. This scene with the Mosa hits different because it's the first time ever seen a marine reptile, specifically one that's absolutely gigantic, like her mom. That's new. It's the prime example of this movie evoking similar things to the original while also being unique and having its own identity. That's literally the best thing a soft reboot can be. It introduces completely new things to the series. A prime example of this. Another prime example is actually this movie's main antagonist. It's a completely fake dinosaur, not real at all. Actually, there's probably at least one person in the world who thinks it's real, let's be honest, but ignore that. This girl and all the other hypers later in the series are trashed by the fan base, maybe because their inclusion implies that people don't think dinosaurs are cool, that people would rather see big monsters than actual animals, and people who say this are kind of dumb, to be honest, because that's literally the point. In Jurassic World, the Indominus is created to boost sales. That's it. Even without the park has like probably thousands of visitors after over 10 years of being open, right? This is realistic, right? When games don't update, they get boring and new content is needed to keep people playing, right? For example, this fucking Fortnite Battle Royale. Putting that out of the way, the Indominus is also just a great antagonist for the movie. Her design is great. T-Rex, white, and some extra cool things like these spiky scales and quills is simple but effective. In the story, it was created to be a new star attraction, so it appearing quite similar to the T-Rex, which is their current star attraction, aside from the Mosasaurus maybe, but cooler and scarier. Makes sense. This actually worked in real life. It was probably like the most popular of the hybrids. I've never seen anyone say they dislike it, or at least not nearly as much as the Indoraptor or the Staurus Rex. And there's so much merch of the Indominus Rex, way more compared to those two. From a visual storytelling perspective, it also works well. The white scales and monstrous face make it look unnatural. When you see it near normal stuff like trees or outside in the daylight, it doesn't fit in. It's like a counter model that's been modded into a game with a completely different art style, which sounds like a bad thing to be honest, but it works. It works well for the Indominus because that's basically what it is, a man-made monster unleashed onto a natural world. Mostly natural. Another major component of this character is that we're never told to us what its DNA is comprised of. Because of this, it stays a major unexplained threat throughout the movie. Owen and some other dudes go into its enclosure to find out how it escaped, but it turns out it actually hasn't escaped. It was smart enough to set a trap which would allow it to escape for real. It also doesn't attack the three dudes as soon as they come into the enclosure. As the three run towards the exit door, it sneaks up in front of them and blocks it, meaning the only other way for them to escape is by going through the large gate which the Indominus can also use and fit through. That's easily the smartest thing a large carnivore has ever done in the series. Then it ambushes the security team by removing its tracking implant and using camouflage. Like, not like hide in a bush camouflage, I mean like becoming the bush camouflage, like getting the motherfucker turns invisible. That's an ability a dinosaur has never used in the series before. Then during its fight with the Ankylosaurus, she continues to use her intelligence. She tries to bite the Anky's back, realizes she can't, so she claws the Anky's legs so she can roll it over onto its vulnerable underside. This happens again during the final battle. When she's fighting Rexy, she uses one of her major advantages over her, which is her long arms, which she uses to take down Rexy easily by just like shoving her into the ground. A little before this, when we believe the Raptors and the Indominus are going to fight, but actually it turns out she's actually part Raptor and she communicates with them and turns them against Owen and his squad. This is the first time I've ever seen different species of dinosaur communicate with each other. Like, easily one of the most intimidating dinosaurs in the series. Also maybe even the strongest dinosaur in the series. Actually, Mosasaurus isn't a dinosaur, that doesn't count. The Indominus overall is a great addition to this movie. It's cool, it's new, and has importance to not just this movie, but the next one as well. But I'll talk about that later. There aren't just dinosaur main characters though, there's all the humans too, and for the most part I like them. Owen tends to be cool and likeable, and he is cool and likeable. Claire has a great character arc in this movie, and the others after this. Hoskins gets good bonus points for being the only human antagonist in the series that isn't a greedy rich person. He also gets other points for stuff I'll talk about later. I like this guy, who almost gets killed by the raptors in the beginning of the movie, and then he's the one to unleash him at the end. That's cool. This guy is funny, but it annoyed me that he only took only one of the dinosaur toys from his desk at the end. Like, bro, take them all. I like all the characters in this movie, right? They're not the greatest characters in the world, they're not up there for Jurassic Park, but they're likeable, okay? Except for these two. This is where I get into the bad parts of this movie, because it's only my second favourite of the three for a reason. These two brothers did not annoy me at all for many years, until like last couple of weeks, and it dawned on me that these two are weird, and not in a good way. For like a long time, I thought they were just fine characters that connected to the plot well enough, and character arc about not liking each other and then liking each other is admittedly okay. I never cared about them, which is already a bad sign because they're basically the main characters. Then recently I started watching this movie again, and I looked closer at their scenes, and I came to the realization that these two are more than just forgettable. Right, first we have Zach. I think. I don't know which name goes with which one, which is not a good sign. So Zach's main character trait is that he likes women, okay? there are at least like 10, even just 10 times in this movie where he tries to like whiz up women, and all of them are so unnecessary and dumb. Like when he sees girls, he just stares at them. Like he doesn't talk to them at all. It's like right here on the monorail, and that's still awkward. Like it's not like he doesn't stare at them in like a cool way. He just stares at them with a blank expression. It's so cringy. Why is this in the movie? This adds nothing to the story. It just makes me care less for his character. That's not the weirdest part either. This guy who is clearly desperate for some pussy already has a girlfriend. Like, what the hell is this? Why is he trying to whiz up every girl he sees at Jurassic World when he already has a girlfriend at home? This makes no sense. It's cringe. It's pointless. And then, what's the point? What about his younger brother? He's even worse! Greg is meant to be autistic or kind of weird. I have no idea. But they gave him some of the stupidest dialogue of all time.
Big.
But how many pounds?
Doesn't make sense.
Why would he ask that? That doesn't make sense. I know that's the point, but that's just a stupid way of showing that he's autistic or weird or whatever the hell he is. Like, if I moved into a new house, and that's like if I asked how many pieces of wood are in the house. Like, it's fucking stupid.
Aren't you supposed to be a genius or something? Look, 1, 2, 3, 4.
5.
This scene is stupid. Why is he not concerned at all about the floating monster face which he believes is right in front of him? And how is this dude so stupid that he doesn't realise that he's staring at clearly he's staring at a reflection?
We need more. What? Teeth. We need more teeth.
This line is so dumb. Whoever wrote this dialogue probably thought it was the coolest line ever and just put it in the movie even though it doesn't make any sense. Why is Greg talking like this? Why is he counting teeth? Whose teeth is he counting? And how does Claire understand what he's referring to? This probably doesn't sound like that big of a deal, but these two are the main characters, equal if not more important than Claire and Owen, and they're so dumb and forgettable. This is probably my biggest issue with this movie. At least 35% of the movie is spent with these two, and I don't care about that. They don't add anything to the scenes of it. Sometimes they make them worse. Like this dumb dialogue during otherwise what's an amazing final battle, and even in the motorsport scene from earlier. Remember when I said Zach was staring at his phone? Guess what was on his phone? A selfie of a girl! I'm done talking about these guys. I don't care. They suck. Another big issue with this movie is the visuals. Sometimes, most of the time, this movie actually looks very good and weirdly unique. There's blue everywhere in this movie. There's a blue filter over like every scene, which makes the movie look pretty cool, which is like the complete opposite of the original movie, which had a lot of yellow and it looked very warm and beautiful. All the scenes in the park are blue, the helicopters are blue, all the workers wear some kind of blue, the holograms are blue, the mosasaurus is blue, this raptor is called blue, there's a lot of blue. It all looks great, especially at the end of the movie when it's night time, because the blue and the darkness contrast so well and looks very cool. Other times though, say when the colours are just like in a room, it looks kind of bland and cheap, like a TV show. There's some amazing cinematography in this movie, like the mosasaur scene. When there's a dinosaur in, it goes hard. This part where the troops are getting taken out by the raptors is amazing. You can see what's happening through the cameras on the soldiers and even the raptors. This scene always creeped me out when I was younger, especially when this dude is getting dragged along the ground like 20 miles an hour, and this guy whose face is covered in blood and he's screaming and his audio is repeatedly being cut out and breaking. This is probably like my first exposure to any kind of film footage analog horror, by the way. The plot of this movie is great. It's pretty simple, but it has some depth, and it's really fun. As I said before, the Indominus works extremely well as the main antagonist because of its aura and how it reveals its abilities progressively as the movie goes forward, so it's always surprising and interesting. And it has tons of screen time as well. It's very cool seeing the park slowly fall apart due to its presence. It has some emotional depth too. We have the brother's parents getting a divorce by it. To be honest, I don't care. And that part kind of falls for that. But two scenes that do work well for emotions is this scene where Owen and Claire watching the apostles die in front of them, which starts Claire's character arc from like going from not really caring about the dinosaurs and just seeing them as numbers on the spreadsheet to actually like caring about them and wanting to save them. The second emotional scene, which gets way less recognition, is this part in the middle of the raptor attack scene in the end of the movie. So Owen is stalking through the trees when Charlie appears in front of him. Yes, the raptors also have names, not just black. Owen aims his gun at her, but she doesn't attack, and it seems like she recognizes him. So Owen lowers his firearm. Owen just stares in silence for a couple seconds and walks away, and the action scene continues like nothing happened. It feels out of place in a good way. It's only like 20 seconds long, and Owen's reaction is very subdued, but you can tell he's pretty hurt by it. He had been training these raptors their entire life. He gave them all names and they had fun with him. But he was still fully aware of the fact that they were all raptors and they could be dangerous, which is exactly what happened. Killing Charlie at this moment was probably the smartest thing to do at that moment. So he continues forward. This scene and this second moment are a good representation of the entire movie and even the other two. People just pass them off as like dumb action movies with dinosaurs, but ignore the small parts of actual emotion which elevate the entire thing. And also the dinosaur action scenes are cool, fuck yeah. So that's basically my opinion on this movie. It's better than Dominion. It reinvents the franchise amazingly well, has a cool visual identity and a good story, and has some cool and impactful stuff in it. But 2 of the 4 main characters kind of suck ass, and the plot admittedly has some clunky moments like no one questioned the workers outside the Indominus enclosure of they saw like the 5-ton dinosaur climb over the walls they're currently building. I know there's some nitpicks, but overall, as I say, I don't like rating movies, but I'll do it anyways. 7 out of 10. Very good. Still, one thing I haven't talked about though. Hoskins, he's a pretty goofy villain. But the stuff he does sets up the next movie incredibly. He wants dinosaurs in the military. But most of the superiors think that's stupid. But then the Indominus wrecks the park and the owner dies, so he's able to gain full control. And it seems like Dr. Wu is also on his side because we got to reveal the reason the Indominus genes are kept secret is because not only is it meant to be the new Star Trek in Jurassic World, its DNA is also intended to be used to create something else. Something more in line with the Raptors, which Hoskins ordered in combat earlier to prove his vision for dinosaurs in the military was possible. And what he tells the main characters right before he gets killed perfectly sets up the main focus of the next movie.
Imagine that one, fraction of the size, deadly, intelligent, able to hide from the most advanced military technology.
Oh, Carnotaurus! Yeah, baby! Oh, get in there. Get in there.
I already said this before. I watched this movie and Jurassic World a lot on DVD when I was 7. But I didn't mention the first time I watched them. I couldn't with Jurassic World because I was literally 4 and I legit don't remember ever watching it for the first time. It's like been there. It's just been in my head my entire life. I don't remember existing before knowing what happens in that movie. But when Fallen Kingdom came out, I remember it, right? It left a big impact on me. But I'm going to try and keep this as non-nostalgia blinded bias as possible, at least for this beginning section of the review. Visually, this movie is easily the best of 3. This movie isn't directed by Colin Trevorrow, unlike the other 2. It's instead directed by J.A. Bayona, which explains why it's different. I'm not trying to diss Colin, but there's no other better way of saying that. It's just this movie looks better than the other 2. It's shot on a more narrow aspect ratio, and this is used amazingly well. Most of the movie takes place in small environments like a boat or small rooms, so this aspect ratio makes it feel even smaller. It makes us feel even more trapped like the characters. the cinematography goes insane in some scenes, like here, or 50 other examples, leaving out some important ones for later. Even in scenes where it's just characters like talking, it clearly looks more interesting compared to like, the other movies. There's never any points in the movie where it looks bland, like in Jurassic World. The entirety of Jurassic Park 3. It all looks great. The story is also the best of the three. I'm not going to go fully into it right now because that's for later, but what I will say is that it feels grand. What I mean by that is that the story is complex. Not like Dominion complex, but like complex like a 2-hour one time. So what, we go on an island, then we're on a boat, and then in a mansion, and all 3 of these set pieces are milked to potential fully. When people critique the plot of this film, a common thing they say is that it feels like 2 different movies like combined together, or if it was split, it should have been split into 2 movies and been like 2 parts. But that just doesn't work. When the characters go to the island, the bad guys catch Blue and leave the main characters to die to the volcano. How do you make a 2-hour movie of just that? If it was just 2 hours of being on the island, then most of it would have just been like a filler with little plot. The same thing with the mansion. Like, it's a big mansion, but it's not that big. Both halves of the movie are perfectly paced. It never overstays its welcome. And the movie works extremely well with both of them combined. Another complaint I see against this movie is that it feels like a middle chapter, like it only exists to set up the next movie while not being memorable or good itself. But this isn't an issue because the movie is actually good. Like, seeing everything fall into place to create the Neo-Jurassic Age, like the auction scene, and then seeing the end of the original Jurassic Park, really because of the volcano, and figuratively because all the movies after this will be different because of how everything ends by the end of this movie. It set up a new era of Jurassic movies amazingly. It also does something completely new which doesn't exist to set up stuff in the next movie, but I'll talk about that later. The characters from the last movie are still just as good as before, though I will admit the plot line with Owen and Claire getting together being done again for some reason was kind of strange. But besides that, it's all just as good as it was before. And there's some new guys as well. I'm going to talk about the 2 villains first. So we have Wheatley, who is literally just an evil hunter, and we have Eli Mills. And Eli Mills, like, straight up kills people, but he's kind of insane. Like, even though he's just a greedy CEO, or greedy rich man number 2, it's already been the second time they've done this by then. But I will admit, the villains aren't that interesting, well, the human villains specifically, but it's still good. But kind of forgettable, to be honest. The death scenes are great though, but I'll talk about them later. Trust me, all this stuff I'm leaving out is going to be important. There's other new characters too, like Zia and Franklin. They're both okay additions to this movie. I don't really care about Zia because she spends like 70% of the movie with Blue, so she has doesn't have much to do after Blue's saved. And Franklin is basically this movie's comic relief character, so in all scenes he's in, he's being really loud and dumb. There's not really anything else to say about him. He serves his purpose of being funny. I have nothing against him. He's pretty cool. The most important new character though is Maisie. And guess what? She's a fucking clone. Whoa. Most people, when they talk about this plot twist, say that's dumb, it's pointless, it comes out of nowhere. That just isn't true. There's this scene where she finds a picture of herself with her caretaker who looks a lot younger for some reason. That's probably a big giveaway something's off. There's even more pieces of foreshadowing, like this earlier dialogue. It sounds pretty normal until you realise the reason her caretaker is likely telling her to pronounce Bath in a specific way, she sounds more like her original self for her grandpa. And this has a deeper meaning too when you think about it, because of what happens later in the movie. She was created in the same way as the dinosaurs and was treated the same way by Eli Mills, who wanted to sell her and the dinosaurs for money. So you know, you get what I'm saying? A little later in the movie we get this dialogue, and I'm just gonna let it play. Use your brain to connect that line and this ending together and you get well written and cool foreshadowing. This plotline is also tied neatly into the main story. It's not pointless. Not just in this movie, but Dominion too. If Maisie wasn't a little clone, she wouldn't have felt as emotionally connected to the dinosaurs at the end of the movie, and they would all die to the toxic gas. And Eli Mills would survive and use the Indominus DNA to create more war machines. But because she's a clone, she decides to press the button at the end of the movie, and that decision causes the dinosaurs to be free, and Eli Mills and the Indominus DNA to be destroyed. That sounds like an important plot point to me. This goes even further in Dominion, where DNA is literally used to save the world from the locusts. If you think all this human clone stuff is weird, then you should probably think about how this entire series about animals from millions of years ago being cloned. A human clone is way more normal in comparison to that. Overall, this entire human clone plot is good. My only issue is how they retcon the reasoning for Maisie existing in Dominion from Lockwood wanting his daughter back to her original self already being a clone who gave birth to a copy of herself, and she injected a cure to the disease which would then proceed to kill her. I don't know why they did that, that's kind of strange, but that's a Dominion issue, not a Fallen Kingdom issue. But what about the dinosaurs? When am I going to talk about the dinosaurs in my dinosaur movie review? Right now, actually. I'm still going to exclude some of them, because that's for later, and I've said before, but just remember, two big sections I'm not going to talk about right now are easily the best, okay? But they're for later. Just remember, though, that these ones I'm going to talk about right now, that doesn't mean they're bad, okay? Because they are definitely aren't. A lot of these scenes feel tight, which sounds strange if you're dirty-minded, like me. But what I mean by that is that all the dinosaur attack scenes, the cowders are always really close to them and always inches away from being killed. When Claire and Franklin are staring down the baryonyx, it's only stand like 15 feet away from them, only blocked by the lava. And then it almost steals the chair off Franklin, and then once it crosses over to their side, it literally shoves its body up the tiny tunnel both of them are climbing up. It almost chomps Franklin again, and then the two of them have to use their weight to close the exit hatch on its snout. And then when Claire and Owen are trying to get Rex's blood, they're crammed inside this tiny cage, and they barely have any room to even move around. It wakes up before they can leave, and Owen is trapped inside, probably seconds away from either being crushed by Rex's foot or getting eaten, so he decides to jump in between its jaws to escape. Both of these scenes have good tension because they feel cramped and claustrophobic. Not just because the dinosaurs always like a foot away from killing everyone, but also because the environment itself is hazardous. Like, you know, during the final battle of Jurassic World, there's tons of safe spots everywhere. You can hide in the buildings, behind props. Or the fight wasn't turning out as favour, they could have just like ran away down any of the paths in the main street. But when they're in this room with the baryonyx, not only is there nowhere to run, but the room has been filled with molten lava, so they need to act fast. And then this scene, the characters are currently stuck on a boat in the middle of the ocean. There's still people that probably want them dead, so they're at risk of being spawned every second. The whole movie actually contains a lot of tight scenes. In this part, Owen is under the effects of the tranquilizer and he has to awkwardly crawl away from the lava that's inches away from him. And here when Claire and Franklin are trapped in the gyrosphere that's slowly sinking to the bottom of the ocean and it's being filled with water, and Owen has to come in and save them. The thing is tiny and they barely make it out. Even when there's no danger, they're still sometimes stuck in cramped spaces like this tiny makeshift room in the back of a truck, or all huddled in there, or this tiny ass cage Owen and Claire are in this part. This is probably why this film has a more narrow aspect ratio and makes these already claustrophobic scenes even more uneasy. A lot of this stuff is running great and well put together. All these scenes are basically taking your standard Jurassic tension scene, fraction the size, deadly, and intelligent. Wait, what the fuck? That sounds like I'm describing something else. Is this a forced transition into the next section of the review? Oh yeah, I've been ignoring him for too long. It's time to talk about the greatest part of not just this movie, but the best part of the trilogy. This is also where I'm going to start talking about my first time watching this movie, but I'm going to try and make this review as objective as I can. Alright, time to go back to 2018. I was 7 years old. and I was about to go to the cinema with my parents to watch Jurassic World Fallen Kingdom. And I was kind of worried, to be honest. I was at my granny's beforehand debating on whether or not to go, because I was genuinely scared to watch it. When I was watching the other Jurassic movies, it was fine, because I was at home, like I always was. But now I was going to have a place I've never been to before. It was a different cinema than I usually go to. It's a giant room, it's dark, it's loud, and there's going to be filled with people I don't know. So I was concerned, but I decided to go. Okay? We went to the cinema, sat down, and the movie began, and after all the ads I assume. As all the company logos go by at the beginning, there's noticeably no sound. Not even any ominous music. And then it cuts to complete darkness and we hear the ambience of something mechanical, a small speck start floating around the screen. We see this machine, it's a submarine. We're underwater. A quick cut to the surface then reveals that the submarine is headed into the Jurassic World lagoon. Where the hell are these two dudes in sub? Why are they in here? Where are they going? We don't know yet. They continue going inside until they arrive right in front of the skeletal remains of the Indominus Rex. The Indominus theme from the last movie plays as this is revealed. The two men puppeteer the small robotic limbs of the sub. They grasp onto one of the skeleton's ribs and the other saws it off, and then they attach a throat to the piece of bone and it floats to the surface. They're not alone. Outside the lagoon, there's a guy commanding the sub-crew. After the bone reaches the surface, he tells the helicopter team behind him to go collect it. They fly above the lagoon and load the bone inside. Their mission is complete. Yellow Jacket Man on the ground tells the two men in the sub to leave so he can close the lagoon's gate and they can get the hell out of there. The two men do as instructed. Yellow Jacket Man yells through his mic for a response from the sub, but he gets nothing. And as the helicopter lands on the ground behind him to go pick him up, they notice something through the trees. The people in the helicopter are screaming at Yellow Jacket Man to get inside, but he's still distracted. He then hears something behind him. He takes off his headphones and turns around. Yellow Jacket Man then sprints towards the helicopter, but races into the air before he can reach her. He continues to run as the T-Rex is close behind him. The crew drop down a ladder and Yellow Jacket Man grabs on, but the T-Rex catches it in its mouth and begins to violently shake the helicopter as Yellow Jacket Man is clinging on for dear life. The crew quickly decide to cut the ladder before the helicopter can stow. But then, right before they can do it and sacrifice Yellow Jacket Man, the ladder snaps in Rex's jaws. Yellow Jacket Man and the crew celebrate. Nah, I'd win. The crew leave a little more shooken up than before as the Mosasaurus escapes its lagoon through the open gate. And when we get the title card, what an intro! The shit was so good. Even people who hate this movie agree that's peak. The visuals and the cinematography are incredible. The darkness hides a lot of the imperfections of the CGI, so the dinosaur and marine reptile look amazing. The Mosasaurus, which evoked wonder and awe in the first Jurassic World movie, is now a terrifying monster. They even recreate the fin scene, but instead of a shark hanging over the water, we have a person. And just from these screenshots, you can tell that it's trying to. The second scene is obviously trying to be the same thing, or similar, but it evokes the opposite emotions, not wonder, fear. When I watched this for the first time in cinema, I was legit scared, because I thought it wouldn't get that bad until around near the end of the movie, but the movie literally just started. This is the first 6 minutes. This scene does kind of have one big problem though. This gate, it didn't exist in the first movie. In fact, the whole area looks much different. There's hotels on the beach, But then in this movie, it all just magically disappeared. The lagoon is connected to the ocean now. But it wasn't in the last movie. This is a giant retcon. It's very strange when it did this, to be honest. They could have just had the sub go through like a giant tube, which leads to the ocean instead, or just... I don't know. It's strange, why they redesigned the park? They could have done something else, but... It's only noticeable in this scene, because when the characters go to this location they never actually show that side of the park. Like, it's almost like it was done intentionally so people wouldn't notice it's different. Even then, this opening is still amazing and kind of scary to a 7-year-old child. Once the scene was over and the movie moved on, my 7-year-old self thought the scariest part of the movie was done because, you know, it can't get any worse than that, you know? So after the opening scene, the movie obviously moves on, and you kind of forget about whatever the hell was going on in that opening, because now we're in this new plot with Owen and Claire trying to save the dinosaurs from the island, which turns out to be a lie, and the characters have to escape the island, which they then do, and now somehow stop whatever the fuck's going to go on. And afterwards, Eli Mills shows up underground and he rips out the bone from the opening to show it off to the sky. So now we know why the opening scene was important. The Indominus phone was given to Engine, specifically Eli, so they could use it for something. Something that could follow commands and be used in combat. The Indoraptor. The scene quickly cuts to our main characters again, before we can get a good look at this small hologram, and we're left in the dark about this plot again, until Maisie heads down to that lab. She finds and watches over recordings of Blue and Owen, and you know, Blue's a baby, it's kind of cute. Meanwhile, on the boat, Owen is with Blue while the bullet is being removed. So it's kind of emotional scene, but I'll talk about more about that later. Maisie then has to hide as Eli Mills walks into the room along with someone else. Henry Wu. Now we know why Henry was taking all that equipment and research at the end of the last movie. He's in on this plan involving this Indoraptor. Mills and Henry argue over the state of the project. They need Blue's DNA to probably create the perfect Indoraptor. I hit my fingers again. To create the perfect Indoraptor, because the one they have right now isn't exactly as they envisioned, apparently. As they bicker up, Maisie unknowingly steps over a safety line, and there's a cage behind her. It's separated from all the other ones, and it isn't empty. Whatever this thing is, it clearly isn't like the other dinosaurs in the series. It doesn't immediately get aggressive towards Maisie. It just reaches out its hand slowly and runs its fingers through Maisie's hair. It isn't mindlessly trying to kill her. It's something even worse. Maisie then gets caught by Eli and locked in a room, and once again we cut back to the main characters for a while. They arrive at the manor but are caught and put in a cage. They use the ski Moloch to escape. W Ski Moloch, first dinosaur to set foot on the mainland, W him. And then they meet Maisie. They look around for a way to get out, but instead find the auction in the middle of going on. All the dinosaurs are being sold and this course halfway done. So the orchestrators decide to show off what the scientists have been cooking up. A creature of the future made from pieces of the past. Ladies and gentlemen, please be warned. This is the perfect blend of the two most dangerous creatures that have ever walked the earth. We call it the Indoraptor. This reveal goes so hard. The cinema photography is on point. On paper, the Indoraptor shouldn't be frightening in this scene because it's trapped in a cage in bright lighting, so we can see the full thing. It's in a safe place, no dangers to anyone. But first, they keep its design under wraps by having the light only illuminate its silhouette. Then we get reaction shots from the crowd as the guards shortcut to get a reaction from it. All these dumbass people are clearly horrified at what they're seeing, but the only thing we see is its shadow cast on the wall above them. We finally see it at the end of the scene, and it looks awesome! The design is very sleek. He's basically a more evolved raptor, in line with the Indominus, which was like a more evolved Rex. He has the exact opposite colour palette as the I-Rex, so he's almost entirely black with some red spots and red eyes and other areas, and he has a yellow stripe running down his entire body. He has 2 on each side, kind of like another dinosaur in this movie which has blue stripes instead. I wonder if there's a connection there. This is not even mentioning that throughout this whole reveal, this absolute banger theme is playing. I can't play it all because of copyright, but it sounds overwhelmingly cool. I can listen to it, like search up Jurassic World or Fallen Kingdom mostly and listen to it. It really captures that this motherfucker is literally the most effective predator of all time. Right? Michael Galacchio had went to pay because this is easily the most memorable piece of music in the trilogy. After this, the gods show off the Indoraptor's ability to follow human commands, simply through a demonstration with this laser. You aim the laser at the dude and trigger weird sounds which makes the Indoraptor run towards the laser, which is pointing at the dude, and it kills the dude. It's pretty simple and seems very effective, but a lot of people have pointed out how seemingly dumb this sounds. If you have the gun pointed at the dude and then just shoot. At face value, this whole plot point comes off as really stupid, unless you pay close attention to the movie and hear this dialogue. This means the Indoraptor can be used to eliminate groups of enemies out in cover. Later in the movie, we see the Indoraptor slow people despite not being commanded to do so, so it's likely that the finished Indoraptors would be able to mow down dozens of troops by just being lured to one of them. So you're effectively killing like 10, 20, or even maybe 50 people with just one bullet. Or not even one bullet, just a laser. Another thing to point out is that the Indoraptor is bulletproof. It's not shown that well, to be honest, but when Owen tries to shoot him near the end of the movie, you can see bullets get stuck in its skin and then fall out. So most weaponry is useless against that. So after Eli Mills decides to sell the Indoraptor because he just can't resist another bag, Owen decides to intervene. This thing cannot leave this mansion. Even Henry Root isn't on board with the idea. If the Indoraptor was taken by this rich Russian man that bought him, he would have probably been cloned the shit, and those clones would be given to other people who would then do the same thing. This is already what happened to all the normal dinosaurs that were sold, which is what causes the Neo-Jurassic Age. But if this weapon of mass destruction was cloned all over the world, we would be cooked. So Owen and the Stiggy Moloch team up to put a stop to the auction before the Indoraptor can be transported out, and all the rich people run out the room, leaving it completely empty. Except for Wheatley. He sees everyone running out in fear and decides to go in because he needs his bonus. He sees the Indoraptor and knocks out some trunks so he can collect one of its teeth for his necklace. Little does he know, the Indoraptor is actually tricking him. He unlocks the cage and goes in. 7-year-old me was not ready. When the Indoraptor started doing all that weird shit with his tail while Wheatley wasn't looking, I knew a jump scare was inbound. And when it finally happened, I had to look away and cover my eyes because I was too scared. This was probably like the second most scared I've been in the movie theater, right behind that Jungle Book remake. I'm not joking. The tension I was feeling at this moment doesn't let out, however, because after Wheatley and this dumbass get consumed, the Indoraptor is now free to roam Lockwood Manor and hunt. Obviously, not a good thing. The whole third act of this movie is just the main characters trying to survive him. The manor is now dark and empty, and the Indoraptor can be anywhere. This whole scene is homage to classic horror, like gothic stuff like Dracula, where it all takes place in a castle at night, or in this case a mansion. Later on, the Indoraptor howls into the full moon like a werewolf, and at the same time that Indoraptor theme plays again, it's just as aura-full as before. And in this context of, the whole thing being homage to old horror movies, the idea of a mad scientist creating a monster out of parts from other creatures does sound kind of familiar. This is also probably the reason, or at least one of the reasons, why the Indoraptor is primarily black, since most of those old movies were, obviously black and white. The sequence is also well shot like the rest of the movie. The claustrophobic aspect of this movie is back again. All the rooms in Hawaii are pretty small. Whenever the Indoraptor appears, he's always again stuck or just barely fit inside the areas. Like here, when he takes up the entire width of the hallway. When he chases the character, he's always like a foot away from them, and he's always destroying shit around him so he can get closer to them and try and reach them. 2/3 of the way through the scene, and Claire's out of commission because of this injury, and Maisie's alone by herself in her bedroom as the Indoraptor is scaling the building trying to find her. So my man Owen picks up this gun and goes alone by himself to save her. Or at least, he thinks he's alone. You see, meanwhile as all this is going on, Henry Wu and the scientists are getting ready to evacuate. Again, Franklin decides to stop being a pussy and injects Henry with a syringe, knocking him out. Franklin frees Zia from her cuffs as Henry gets dragged off so he can be in Dominion, leaving only his disposable mercenaries behind. You know what that means? It's time to unleash Blue! The Indoraptor and Blue are literally the exact opposite, and that's clearly intentional. The first half of the movie is primarily about Blue and her relationship with Owen. A lot of attention is put on how Blue is more intelligent than all the other raptors on the island. In the old footage of Owen, where he's with all the baby raptors, Blue is able to understand Owen's commands and give those commands to the other raptors, and Owen points this out and he's like, holy shit, you see that? This ability would obviously be useful for future Indoraptors, which is primarily why Eli Mills goes through all this effort to get her. More importantly, however, when Maisie finds another recording in the underground lab which shows Owen demonstrating Blue's intelligence, he pretends to cry next to one of the other three raptors and it tries to attack him, but when he does the same thing with Blue, she huddles up next to him to try and make him feel better. So Blue has empathy and cares about Owen, and when she gets shot, Owen does a bunch of shit to save her, which makes them friends again after years of being separate, which is why Blue shows up in the final confrontation to save Owen from the Indoraptor. Then we have the Indoraptor. Unlike Blue that lived in this spoiler pen with her sisters, the Indoraptor has lived alone in this dark cage for its entire life. Eli Mills clearly doesn't give a frick about him. He probably only gets people to feed it and that's it. And he is happily eager to sell him off to some random Russian dude who will probably exploit him even more. Because of this, the Indoraptor has basically gone insane, and since he's a prototype without Blue's DNA, this can't be reversed. He cannot be reasoned with anymore or controlled. When he's about to kill Wheatley, he takes his time, he plays peekaboo with his tail and smiles, then listens to Wheatley cry before brutally mauling him. This part is basically like the Owen earlier demonstrating that Blue has empathy, but in this case the Indoraptor is intelligent enough to take pleasure in killing people and seeing them cry. He could have easily left Lockwood Manor and ran into the woods like the Sticky Milk, but he doesn't care, he just wants to kill everyone. It's pretty clear now why both Blue and the Indoraptor have the same stripe pattern. The movie wants you to figure out that the Indoraptor is just Blue, same pattern, similar species and intelligence, but evil. The Indoraptor is evil Blue, that's what I'm getting at basically. First half of the movie is about Blue, second half is about the Indoraptor, and now in the climax, both of them are going to go against each other. The Indoraptor climbs on the ceiling of the mansion, upside down, in a really cool looking shot. Have I mentioned that this movie has good cinematography before? It climbs into Maisie's room, which is a recreation of a child's nightmare. Maisie is paralysed with fear. The Indoraptor shadow is being cast on the walls as he enters through the balcony door and walks towards her bed. He finds her and then takes his time again, relishing in her suffering, until Owen kicks open the door and shoots them, but the Indoraptor is bulletproof, so this does nothing. Owen drops his gun and backs up into the wall in defeat, but then the Blue runs into the room and the two dinosaurs break out in battle. Owen and Maisie exit the room by shimmying along the outside wall, but the Indoraptor is thrown out the window, which knocks both of them down. They climb onto the manor's glass ceiling as the Indoraptor begins chasing them again. They reach the other side but find nothing but a huge drop to the ground. The Indoraptor has them cornered, but he realises the glass will shatter onto his weight, so he will have to move slowly across to reach them. As he's halfway across, Claire appears behind him with a laser gun in hand. The Indoraptor is locked in on the laser now, and she aims the laser at Owen and pulls the trigger. Immediately the Indoraptor leaps forward, but Owen dives underneath him and he shatters the glass and falls through. Unfortunately, however, the Indoraptor pulls himself up and bares his teeth for Owen. But then... This scene, and especially the last 15 seconds, is my favourite scene in the entire series. Not just that, it's one of my favourite scenes in any movie ever. going to say this, possibly even my favourite of all time. The first 95% is amazing, the lighting is great, the cinematography peaks in the scene. The human characters actually take part in the final fight instead of just watching or running away. Blue and the Interruptor, their fight has weight because both of them are characters, and they're polar opposites. It's classic good versus evil in the best way possible. But the last 15 seconds when Blue and the Interruptor fall through the glass ceiling in slow motion as the music swells and the Interruptor gets impaled on the Triceratops skull in the middle of the room, that part has been ingrained into my brain since I was 7 years old. I think about that scene, no joke, almost every day. When dinosaurs come to mind, I think of that last 15 seconds. When Jurassic Park comes to mind, I think of that scene. When death scenes come to mind, I definitely think of that scene. When I think of close stuff in movies, I think of that scene. When I watched this for the first time, I thought it was the coolest, most cinematic thing I'd ever seen in my entire life. The poetic irony of this dinosaur getting impaled by a dinosaur skeleton in a museum is so overwhelmingly cool. The fake dinosaur gets killed by a real dinosaur. Who killed him, Blue or the skull? This death scene has layers of depth. It can have so many interpretations. The build-up towards this is also so satisfying. The skull didn't just appear at the end so the Interruptor could get impaled on it. It was there the entire movie. The Interruptor was literally standing on it at one point. It's one of the most genius death scenes I've ever seen. Just the visual of the Interruptor being impaled on the skull in the centre of the room is so memorable to me. The music that plays before and after this is also incredible. Blue leaps off the skull and runs away, putting an end to the best scene in the Jurassic World trilogy. 8 out of 10. Very good. It's not the best movie in the series overall. I would put Jurassic Park, Lost World above it. But still, overall, it's definitely a very great movie. Well, there you go. There's my full review of the Jurassic World trilogy, from the worst movie to the best one. We're done here, right? No. There's still something I have to address. It's one of the main reasons I decided to make this video. So as you know, when the finale of this trilogy, Dominion, came out, it received tons of negative reception, even more so than the previous two movies. It made $1.1 billion, which seems like a big success, which it still is to some extent, which is why they made more movies, obviously. But an important thing to note is that this movie cost $659 million to make. Now, I think this movie is pretty good. But even I will admit, that giant budget is insane. It was likely only meant to be around 500 million or lower, which is around the same as Dominion. But then COVID happened, the movie got delayed a year, thus they had to spend a lot more money on advertising and such. So basically, COVID bent over this movie like most other things. So the movie making 1.1 billion is actually considered an underperformance, because a movie needs to make at least 2.5 times its budget to be considered a success. So this and the terrible reviews made Universal panic. They did not want to lose one of their most profitable franchises. So they banished Colin Trevorrow from ever working on the series again, and they quickly threw together a bunch of people to rush out the next movie for 2025. This movie had less than half of the budget of the last two movies and was written by this guy, David Koepp. Hey, look! He's the guy that wrote the screenplay for the first two movies. That's probably the only reason why he was hired, because he literally seems like he had no interest or skill to write the next movie. He literally said so. He threw together a story in just one draft because he either didn't care or he was rushed, and the end result of all of this was Jurassic World Rebirth. Now, I'm not going to go deep into this movie because the script is already over 40 pages long and it could probably get its own video eventually. But honestly, I'm not sure. There's nothing terrible about this movie, except one thing. But there's nothing great either. It's just characters go to Dinosaur Island and survive again. There's no new ideas, no exciting villains, no new locations, no unique story or characters. It just feels like Jurassic Park on autopilot. It's not the worst Jurassic movie. It's not terrible. It's got some good stuff, but it's just mediocre. David Koepp is going to be writing the sequel to the movie as well, and once again he's saying he has no idea where to take the series. So my hope, not gonna lie, it's kind of low to be honest. But this is his fault. He did something in Rebirth which had almost nothing to do with its story, but he did it anyway for some reason. After the opening of Rebirth, white text appears on the screen. Pretty lazy way of explaining it, but that doesn't matter because the text reads, "The climate has taken its toll. Most surviving species now only thrive in a tropical band around the equator." The entire point of the Jurassic World trilogy was to bring dinosaurs onto the mainland. Colin Trevorrow set up most of the story years in advance. He directed the first, supervised the second, and returned to direct the third. Those 3 movies are overhated, in my opinion. They're good, but even people who hate them agree that the potential left by these movies was amazing. Dinosaurs were everywhere. You could create tons of unique stories with this premise. The potential Colin Trevorrow spent years setting up could finally be utilised. But this man saw that premise and was like, so he proceeded to undo all of it, killing off all the mainland dinosaurs and leaving them on a tropical island so we could go to an island and do a survival island adventure for the 3rd time. Yay! With this movie in mind, it makes the trilogy pointless. David Koepp literally spit in its face. With the series now in the corner because of Rebirth, I'm not sure if there'll ever be a Jurassic movie as good as these 3. With the purpose of them now kind of ruined if you have Rebirth in mind, I've looked into them more and I have before, and I finally put into words my love for them. They aren't just movies like this to start the next movies, which will now probably never be made. They are great movies on their own. I appreciate these movies way more now. Am I objectively incorrect? Am I a dumbass for enjoying these movies? Are they just soulless cash grabs like everyone says? Fuck no! These movies deserve love. If you hate all of them, maybe watch them again. If you think I'm crazy. And if you still hate them, it's okay, I guess. It's your opinion. So, in conclusion, the Jurassic World trilogy is actually Skippity Legos. Okay, that doesn't matter. So this is the outro. I'm at my granny's house once again. There's children outside getting an ice cream from the ice cream truck. And I'm about to post a video. I just finished editing it out and I'm gonna put this at the end. So this was gonna be a more positive ending, but of course yesterday Sam Neill died. And I couldn't talk about it anywhere else in the video because everything else had already been edited and recorded by then, and I couldn't put it in at the start because then it would fuck up the timeline of the editing and ruin the whole video. So yeah, I'll put a thing at the end of the video. If you're watching this video and you're not my cousin, because my cousin's watching this video at some point, hello cousin, I see you. My next video will be Little Nightmares 2. If you like this video, go watch my Little Nightmares videos. Even the first one, the first one's a little bit rough, but the second one is pretty good, I think. And my 3rd video is going to be on Little Nightmares 2. So I'm going to work on that next, most likely. And that'll be me. For now, this is the end of the video. I'm going to put the thing at the end. Goodbye.